That's fine. Okay.
So I noticed that most of my classes, they show a proctoring requirement for the test.
Sure.
Is yours not proctored, or
It's not.
I don't see anything.
No, and the reason is really retention. So I really want people to be working on these during the content assignments, right? And then
Right.
with each content assignment, if you're doing a good job at keeping up, it won't be as much work when it comes time for the essays. The essays,
Yeah.
then they'll be like you choose 8 of 13 or 8 of 15, and they're
Oh,
identical, I think, or almost identical.
oh,
And
fabulous.
so if you're keeping up, then you're learning that material, writing the
Right.
material, copying and pasting and adding to correct material. And I feel like there's no need for a proctor. You know, if you
Yeah.
sat down to do this test and you haven't been keeping up, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of essay to write for 25
Right.
points apiece.
Sure.
That being said, there's a reward for doing these things, even though they're only 5 points. And I know that's not a
Yeah.
lot for all these essays, but then you're
Right.
setting yourself up for the easy 200, exam.
You know what? I love it. And especially for me, my memory is not what it used to be. So to have like a dump load of retention is really difficult. And yet I am keeping up. So I
Yeah,
feel more confident. Yeah.
that's yeah, and I do that on purpose. I mean, I
Love it.
know that all my students learn differently. Some people like to read the book, some people like the visual nature of my slides, and lectures and things, which I think there's a lot of visual learners
Yeah.
out there. Me being one of them, and everybody to a certain degree. So yeah, again, I think this is really important material. I want people to retain it, and what seems to have been the best would be this reinforcing of the right thing.
I love it. Okay. Thank you. That takes a great level of stress off my back.
Absolutely. And I think for everybody else that's going to end up watching this, the important thing is, yeah, it's only been 5 points a week for a handful of weeks. You're not out of it at this point.
Right.
Like we're just getting to the first exam, the first big bunch of points. The discussions are pretty straightforward and not
Mhm.
difficult, but I think are full of good opportunities for sociological observation and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm glad that helps, and I hope that's a great first question to lead off with, because I think a lot of people in this class not only will benefit from that information, but feel not as stressed. I'm not
Yeah.
asking people to sit down and construct 8 25-point essays in a 2-hour period.
Right.
That would stress me out too. And I love
Okay.
writing,
Terrific.
but it's just kind of,
Terrific.
yeah, not necessary. Awesome. Well, thank you,
Okay.
and I'll head into explaining a little bit more of this. Let me look over here. Okay, so let me see, and I'm thinking that it is on. And you can, if you want to mute your camera, you can. Only for the purpose of it's just the two of us, so I don't mind it being just me here. um, Let me see now. I got to go back and find that really quick. So I'm going to talk a little bit, everybody. If you're watching this on a rerun or whatever that might be, I believe, and although it might be a little, I think it's chapter 3. Let me look at this really quick here. And that is the Food Matters Project. Okay, so Food Matters Project is coming up. I also want to give a little bit of a brief shout out to everybody. I know that there's a lot of people in this class. I feel like to a certain degree, people have been missing, and some people are not missing. And I know that this is a distance, and this is self-paced and all of that, self-paced. But I just want you to know that, like I just said, if you are behind the semester or feeling behind, so far we've got what, 4 or 5 point, content assignments. We've got a couple discussions. There's not that many points yet. We still have an easy extra credit thing, the food drive that we're doing. And so if you feel like you're behind at this point, this is why I'm reaching out to you, just so that you know that you're not, even though we're halfway through the semester in live classes, we're just getting to that point here. I don't think it's beyond time for you to be able to engage and do really well in this class. So if you have questions, reach out to me. You can ask them here. And then let me talk a little bit about the Food Matters Project. And I'm going to pop back here for a second, just so I can go to assignments and get the date. I think it's April 12th. And some people might be like, yep, April 12th. Hey, that's over spring break or whatever. I'm teaching for 3 different schools. There's 3 different spring breaks. I'm not getting a break. But if it is overlap in any way, it's just, that's the latest you can turn it in. You can certainly turn it in sooner than that at any time. That's not a problem whatsoever. Okay. All right. So let me do a screen share here for everybody. Now, the reason that the Food Matters Project is important, and although it seems like it's a long ways away, we're now on March 3rd, and that means that you basically have 5 weeks to do this. It's a big paper. It's worth 150 points. And I think that this is an easy and interesting way for you to really do well in this class. So let me go ahead and screen share this. And all right. Okay. So how important are the ingredients in your food? I've just got some questions to get you to think about food, right? What's our relationship with food? And that'll get to kind of section 3 of this paper so that you'll be able to write, I think, about something a bit more interesting. And it makes it easy for you. Okay, so date, that's not November 4th. Forget that, it's April 12th. Sorry about this slide, but what does this matter, Jason? How does this connect with what we're learning? Well, it connects with absolutely everything that we're learning this semester. So our sociology, the sociology of food in our culture, our relationship with food, what we eat, how we eat as a culture, what's being done to regulate or protect our food. Look, what problems or benefits arise out of this? Basically, I'm saying everybody has to eat. So I think that this is valuable. If I were to assign a project about Star Wars, which I love and is very near and dear to me, there'd be a portion of the class that'd be like, I'm not into that. And I get that, but everybody has to eat to survive. So that's why we're going to examine our changing relationship with food. Okay. So I do have a big part here on the sociological relevance of it. Look, it incorporates all 4 course objectives here, right? So design for you to gain a new perspective on the way we look at food and how we eat. Because what we choose to eat is a social phenomenon and one we can't escape. We have to eat to live. And of course, we talk about things every chapter like inequality based on gender or race or whatever that might be. So to help you understand your society as it is and as it might be, look, food is not really focused on that much anymore, which is strange, right? It used to be like an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And we used to have so many like food things. And then in our culture, eating became quicker and faster and less with the family and more on the run. And who knows what's in the food. And while that's happening, companies are lobbying to have more non-food ingredients in the food and you name it. So in the last 30 years, our entire spectrum of how we do food as a culture and as a globe really has changed. So we're going to analyze how that impacts us. This is a list, a couple interesting checklists. You can go to this. This is embedded in chapter 3 lecture. Recalls, what's the FDA site look like in an orange juice piece. One of the reasons that we have concerns and look at our relationship, examine our relationship with food is because we have a lot of safety concerns, right? There's a lot of that as well. So to help you understand the social world and our planet as it is, as it might be, you're going to do data analyses. You're going to look at how we grow our food, positive and negative, right? And in between. And we're going to look at how these choices impact our society, our world, and the future. How we grow food is integrally related to like our farming techniques, to whether we can even continue to farm, whether the conditions in the soil are able to, and things like that. Temperature, right? Droughts, you name it. Food insecurity was a future thing, and now it's very much a now thing. And considering the pandemic and the conditions around the pandemic, it is still very much a now issue. So you eat, you may learn things you've never realized before. And we want to know as sociologists why you behave and how you behave and believe the ways that you do. And Paula Dean. So critical research, critical thinking, comparative analyses, you're going to see these not only in sociology, but you're going to see these across the board. How to do research. And, you know, basically while you're pursuing your college degree, all of these elements are going to relate. So I think it's a good paper in terms of that. Okay, so number one here, or now remember there's a food or a food matters. This is cutting off because when they reformatted this cut off a few things. It'll still be relevant, but if you want to see the entire slide, you can see that in the lecture and in the pre-recorded lectures already. Anyway, also, sorry, the assignment. The assignment itself is a Word document that you can download. It's pretty basic. This paper has 3 elements. It's an involved paper. Start now, because the first section is just ingredient lists, right? So make a list of 10 foods, maybe that you eat at home, but they have to have a list of ingredients: spaghetti sauce, a box of macaroni and cheese, a granola bar, right? And then either go to the grocery store. If you go to the store, right, the organic is on one side, the comparative is on the other, the regular, the conventional, excuse me, and list the ingredients. You could take a picture with your phone, or you can probably just Google online Annie's mac and cheese and Kraft mac and cheese and get the ingredients list and copy and paste, make it into tables, okay? So you're basically making 2 columns like this, and one's got ketchup on it. The other has Alfredo sauce, and there's the organic version on the right, right? A ketchup, high fructose corn syrup versus organic cane sugar. And you just put the ingredients, and you do that with 10 foods. Then you investigate 10 ingredients. So you do that, and you have your tables for the 10 foods and ingredients. Then you just pick 10 individual ingredients, and you put your findings down. So here's an example: potassium sorbate. 1 sentence, I found it here. It's used as an antimicrobial, antifungal compound, and then a citation. So there's 10 of these. Might be riboflavin and high fructose corn syrup, red dye number 3. There's a lot of ingredients that have like really long dimethylpropylene, and it's just another name for salt. Not everything with 10 syllables is insidious, but it might be an anti-foaming agent, might be a chemical degreaser, might be an ingredient that's in cosmetics. We allow in a certain amount, the FDA does, non-food ingredients in food. So 10 of those, each has a little citation, and there's section 1. Your comparative lists, 10 individual ingredients, that's it, okay? Part 2, conduct research on conventionally grown foods, genetically modified foods, locally grown foods, organically grown raised foods. And this is 2 pages, single-spaced, that talks about farming perspectives and techniques. What are the risks? What are the benefits? What are other concerns? Definitely how we grow organic, some things about conventionally grown foods with pesticides, and what about local? So it's really research-based, 2 pages, how we maybe, or how those things help people, how we create, consume, or distribute food. A little bit about that. So 1 is listing. Section 2 is research, worth 50 points. And section 3 is your own section. It's what you want to do. So no, I don't want you to do all these things here, okay? But look at food from some type of cultural perspective. And I definitely don't want obesity or dieting necessarily. People have written hundreds of books on those topics, right? I'm looking for something interesting and specific, because again, you only have 2 single-space pages for this section. So it could be veganism through like non-meat substitutes. And what about that? To me, I find it interesting that you would look for a meat tasting and smelling substitute when you're not all about eating meat. What's that about? How about putting on calories or protein for bodybuilders? How about a local CSA, community shared agriculture, right? Make this as specific as possible in section 3 and choose something, right? Make your observations. Yes, you can interject your own opinion. Of course, you're going to have some sources, and make one of the sources, I say a minimum 7 sources, for sections 2 and 3, because you're going to have plenty, 1 for each of those individual food ingredients. Your textbook is one of them. Food Inc. might be one of them. Make sure that they're a solid source, and write a 2-page paper about that specific thing. What about school programs with organic gardens, or grade schools with organic gardens like Olander Elementary? Anyway, pick something specific. Papers must be single-spaced, font no bigger than 11, 7 total sources. You should have more of that. And number 2 here, don't do less, try doing more, because honestly, My students overall, 90% of them when they write a paper do just a little bit less, 2 or 3 sentences less. I mean, over and over and over. Do a paragraph more, right? Do just a little bit more. It really never hurts to do a little bit more when you're writing a paper. Again, forget that date down there. It's April 12th. There's the point breakdown, part 1, 40 points because it's listing. It's easy for you to do. Food research, 50 points, 60 points for the cultural perspective. Okay, gonna stop the share now and come back here. Are there any questions about this paper that you may have? Listing, 2 pages about how we grow food, 2 pages about something specific that's culturally related. Any questions? No? All right. I know there's only a few of us at this meeting, but I know that this video will get watched a bunch. If something has happened and life has interjected or intervened, like I said it would, reach out to me. If you haven't been doing assignments or you fell off or you got sick or you moved, I am the ultimate flexible professor, right? Well, maybe not. But I am flexible in regards to this class, and I am compassionate, and I want everybody to succeed. That being said, if you haven't participated and you continue to not participate, that's not going to bode well for you. So please touch base. The assignments have only been worth a few points. We're getting and building up to this big test, which I think you can do really well on. Yes, the questions are going to be almost identical. Yes, you can copy and paste your weekly answers, but then add to them because they're 25-point essays. You know, add some of your own insight. Add a little bit more depth with your own opinion. We're sociology. If this was, I don't know, calculus, maybe your opinion wouldn't matter one bit as far as the science of it or how that problem is going to turn out that you're trying to solve. But in this class, everybody here has different experiences that make your life different and unique and wonderful. And I think that you can add some of that personal insight to your assignments. Okay. Discussions. Make sure you're doing those discussions early. Make sure you post on many multiple days. Don't just do 3 days, do more. Again, a little bit more in this class is going to help. All right. Any questions before I shut this down for the morning? No, at one point we had 5 people here, which I think is great. Sorry for calling a meeting on a Friday after postponing it. I knew that would be tough, but I'm going to record this. I will post it in announcements. Keep watching the videos online. If you want to watch the 100 videos for my live class, the 001 section, do that. I think it's interesting because it's the same. I'm lecturing over the same topics and the same chapters, but maybe it's a little more interesting because there's some back and forth with the students. That's up to you. And if you're missing these videos and you want updates, subscribe to the channel and then you'll get a notification, right? That's a pretty basic too. Okay, be good people, do good things. I want you to succeed this semester. It is not too late, so please reach out to me. And for everybody that's been, digging in and working hard, if I gave you back some feedback that said redo it and resubmit with citations, go back and look at the examples, go back and look at the feedback from the first one that I gave you about numbering and end citations and in-text citations and staying consistent with your citation. That's important. If it's not your idea and it comes from our textbook, cite it. It makes for a really strong paper that avoids any plagiarism or issues like that. Okay. All right. Be good people and do good things. I'll talk to you later. Peace, everybody. Take care.